Good afternoon. The property and the advancements that we're making here. We have incredible supporters that have supported us and helped us get this property and some of the things that are on it. And what we're doing is we are advancing that investment on their behalf and on behalf of everyone that has supported us and continues to support this ministry. The advancement is an increase in value of this. No one knows the day, the time of the hour, the day of the Lord. But we definitely know the season. And the season that we're seeing, which we're going to be talking about in this live show, is what you would call the war in heaven. And I'll be getting into that. But I wanted to show you here that the investment that has been made here, we are definitely making this a better investment. We are increasing the value of it. Just as Christ gave a parable and said, you've invested the minas appropriately. Now, this is where we have to be wise as serpents and gentle like doves. We still obviously need support because even though this was granted to us, it takes a tremendous amount to run and to add tools like a tractor, like that tractor there behind me that you see there. Lots of different tools, things to maintain and manage this size of property. It requires a lot. Not just one shovel, not just one hoe, not just one rake. It is definitely costly to ramp something up like this. And so that's where we've been focusing our attention and increasing the value of the main asset here, fixing and managing and maintaining this home and making sure that it retains value and increases in value. This is the proper investment. Now, also the investment is obviously what we do here. And I apologize that we have not been on as much as we would like to. But obviously, maintaining this and advancing it and fixing the things that need to be fixed take a tremendous amount of time and labor. We have been doing a lot of work, and I will take you over and show you some of the work that has been occupying a lot of our time. So I also just wanted to thank those that continue to support us, because these tools and maintaining and managing this and food and everything else and getting the food and getting the plants and getting the gardening and getting the greenhouses and all of this takes a tremendous amount of time and money. And we are exhausted physically. It's been a very, very tough few months for us, just like it's been a tough few months for all of you. That we cannot ever discount what is being pushed upon us. The energy that we are feeling right now is just crazy. It is negative to say the least. So we just wanted to let you know that we are here and we are joyful in being able to bring these videos and audios to you. I will be talking quite a bit more during the live show, which is coming up here, about the blog studio that we put together for just podcasts. So audio only, where we'll be able to have 4 people at a time talking on good quality microphones so you can hear everybody, inbound and outbound calls, and that anybody here could sit down and hit a record button and record a podcast, and they wouldn't need any lessons to do so. So when folks have something to say and they come here, we want to make sure that they have the ability to speak it and bring it to you. So we're going to do that. And that podcast studio is put together, and I'll show you a little bit about how that functions and add a little bit to this so you'll understand. And you can go to the link in the description box below for Blog Talk Radio, which is where our podcast will be. And that's where it's going to be for now. And we'll, even if we have it at a different location, we will also upload it to Blog Talk Radio as well. So Blog Talk Radio /Global Witness, blogtalkradio.com /Global Witness, just to be clear. And I believe that's it. But the link's in the description box below. So if I'm wrong, just click on that link. And we're going to be able to quickly, no matter what time of day, no matter what kind of, no video, just sit down and have the conversation about the things that we're discussing. And we have a lot of conversations with folks that are here and that come here. It has been challenging, but we are putting this together with a tremendous amount of fortitude and love that is difficult sometimes to actually make it through, because different personalities and mixing ourselves here and living together during troubling times is not the simplest thing to do. I'm sure you know this. So I want to take you over here and show you some things. I'm going to show you, let's go over here and see what Rob is working on. And here's Rob. There's Rob. This is going to the world. This here's Rob, and see, been doing the concrete down here. It used to be just dirt in between the flagstone there. Rob's doing an amazing job. We're both beat. We both hurt. So what have you learned from this, Rob? Anything?
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. Well, all right, we'll leave Rob to that. So as we get into this show today, you're going to learn something about what the real war in heaven is, because we're feeling it. So I just want you to know that you're not alone, that we feel it too. We see it as well. And we want to be able to bring you peace and joy and a sense of calm, help you maintain your crown, discuss the things that are on your heart, and hear from you. That's the whole point of the podcast, that we can bring you in easier and more often. And we also would like to, if there are people out there that they feel that they have something that they can say once a week, once a day, you've got some profound things to say and you want to be involved in this, and you want an outlet to be able to post it and not have to build up that audience. Well, I would like to be able to make this available to you and these platforms available to you. Now, obviously with YouTube, we have to be very careful of censorship. So the things that we discuss even in this live show tonight, I will always be very, very careful as to what verbiage we use. And I'm going to be talking to you about the days of Christ and how he had to do the same thing, which is why he spoke cryptically, that he was going through the very same thing that we're going through right now, just at a different time. It was a global reset then, and he was explaining to you how that takes place. And so we're doing the same thing right now. We love you very much. Enjoy the show. Through right now, just at a different. Oh, sorry about that. It seems my mic was muted. Complete rookie mistakes on all levels. I think I'm back. Well, it's really, really, really good to see everybody here. It's good to be talking with you. I really appreciate you coming tonight. We have a lot of stuff to cover. I know I fixed the sound. Give me, if everybody could just give me a hands up that you hear me fine now that the mic's on. It still says no audio, but I think we're on about a 30-second delay. You'll start hearing me fairly soon, I believe. You should. Rookie. Birdie Bear says rookie. Totally. Total rookie mistake. Total rookie mistake. I appreciate that. Yes, it is a total rookie mistake. So everybody can hear me now. Well, that's good. Z-Dub. Tracy McCormick, Lou Mikado, Patty Kitchens, Tracy Invernizzi, all the mods, Dave Schultz, Victoria Cunningham, Kelly, Spirit of Christ. Thank you all for coming tonight and joining the show. Hopefully you're all doing well. I'm really hoping you're all doing well. It has been a very tough time, and it comes from noob Matthew Burkett. Are you calling me a noob? I am. Total newbie. Look, this is not what my profession is. So I'm not a broadcaster, but we're doing our best to get the message out. It looks like I've got a new guest that has joined. And yes, Mickey O'Toole has joined, and maybe he'll join in the chat here soon. But Mickey O'Toole is that's not actually his real name. I know his real name, but I'll just leave his screen name there for you. Mickey O'Toole is somebody that Malia and I both met this last week, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And we would like to be able to bring that to you, but I'd like to be able to bring it to you with them and their interactions so you can hear from them and us, because this is what Christ is all about. And that is a story that I really believe that everybody needs to know, hear, and understand on how the Father works in our lives. We'll get to that, but first, it's most important. I want to make sure that we cover the areas that I have laid out here. There is a lot to talk about here. So in the chat, we have Jen for Yahashua, which says, "I'm new, Derek. Bless you all." Bless you for coming here. And please don't be offended when you hear something that you don't quite understand or rubs you the wrong way. Just put it on the shelf. That's my best advice for you. Put it on the shelf. Go, you know what? I'm going to spit out the bones and chew up the meat. So, my lovely wife just came up here and brought me this. I usually always have this right next to me when I'm doing these shows. She's a pretty remarkable woman. All of you know her. Her name is Malia. We have a lot of new subscribers, a lot. Now, when I say new subscribers and a lot, in the previous days, a lot of subscribers in a single day would be 1,000. But that 1,000 subscribers would be not very dedicated to the message. They're kind of popping around. They're subscribing to tens of thousands of channels. Well, since YouTube has kind of made this a very different place to come, the channels that were paying very close attention to algorithms and analytics and how not to get deleted are still around. Now, that doesn't mean that the other channels that got deleted were good. Their information was phenomenal. They were just not paying attention to the real warnings of what is taking place in this world today. Now, I have a lot of stuff to play, and I have many things to talk about and questions to get to. And we have a bunch of participants in the room. We've got Jorge, Chris, Ray Van, Tatiana, I guess, Kovacevic. That's quite a name for me to say since I haven't said it before. That we will get to. Questions, if you have questions, there is a Zoom link in the description below. You can log into Zoom and you can join this podcast or this video podcast on Zoom and raise your hand and say you have a question, and I'll get to you and bring you live on the show. If you have video, I have no problem bringing you live on the show. On video, I would just suggest that you make sure that you're clothed and that you're presentable and that we can hear you appropriately. No distractions, no dogs. So have respect for everybody else that is in the house. There are quite a few people here that are in the house. It's growing, 450. I think that titles like this, The War in Heaven, is not going to get a bunch of QAnon people. It's going to get people that are paying attention to something that most aren't. And when I say most, I mean literally most. Most. Folks, we're an anomaly. We are an anomaly. Well, what was Neo in the Matrix considered and called? He was the anomaly, according to the architect. Who's the architect? Well, the architect's the one that made this place, that made this world. Well, same thing. We are an anomaly here. Copy? So once you know that,
Once you know that being in Christ is not like one of the rest at all. Let's make sure that this is abundantly clear to anybody that says, I'm a Christian. This is why Christ promised that you would be persecuted. He promised persecution, promised it. Why? Because once you understood what is going on, once you were beginning to digest the gravity of what is happening, that number one, first and foremost, it's going to be difficult to keep your head about yourself. It's going to be brutal to keep your heart within yourself. The separation, the deviation, the absolute nightmare that they create before you in the physical world will make you seem like the anomaly. So I want to make that abundantly clear that if you think that being a Christian means that you're like the rest of the world to gather together, then you never heard a single word that he said. You didn't hear a word because he told you what's coming. Now, I'm going to do a few things here, and I changed some elements to the show tonight, some of the things that we're going to go through, and I apologize if I'm not paying attention to chat right now. This is typically where I deviate from that. Now, we're going to get, we had some confusion. I apologize that there were, YouTube, just to let you know, YouTube has screwed everything up. They have changed so many things during the last 3 or 4 months that it's almost impossible for me to schedule a show on YouTube and use a software to connect to it. Because even when I do connect to the very specific show that I'm telling it to connect to, it creates a new one. It's ridiculous. So these are just, I think we've got a lot of lazy people coding right now. A lot of people that just don't care. And companies that don't care. They could care less because they're protected by who? They're protected by the establishment and the system, as we've seen, that companies can do things that are beyond the pale, that violate everything you can possibly think of. But they do it. And what happens? Nothing. So I don't want to talk too much because I have so much, not right now. We're going to get to a lot of talking. I've got a lot to say about these things. But I have to say this to you and everybody here right now. Please understand that how I talk during this show has to be very different than I would talk to you face to face. I can't say the same things that I would ordinarily say. I have to be careful because there's somebody listening. And what that somebody is that's listening, let me make this clear, is an opinion. An established opinion that has been placed in the AI or the algorithm that monitors these shows. But it is ultimately somebody. Somebody had to place the variance of that algorithm in there. And those variants and the variations that are established as far as rules or laws that they've placed in that algorithm are based on what? They're based on their opinions. So, that's the basis of an algorithm, is the opposition of opinion that somebody can technologically disagree with me and delete what I'm saying because they've already pre-said their opinion and that I'm not allowed to have a different one. Do you understand the gravity of what we're going to experience? Oh, they say it's a private company and they can do whatever they want. Well, sure they can, and people continue to support those companies. Even we have to market to you through those. Facebook, Twitter, those things. We still have to use them in order to get your attention. But the time of using them, you think that lasts forever? That'll end. Oh, it'll end quickly. Very soon, when the delineation is placed, and it's being built. Make no mistake about it, folks. When that dividing line the delineation of the majority, the democracy, the mob rule that is mob rule, once they have set you outside the court, well, guess what? You're outside their court. You're going to start to learn exactly how big that court is and who owns it and who runs it. Trust me, it's not just a bunch of politicians. There's real intelligence behind this. Real intelligence, folks. There is an enemy. Believe me, you will see him and you will marvel. And just like scripture says, you will go, this is the guy? This is him? Yeah. Wait. Watch. As Malia says, hide and watch. I think that's a Southern saying. So I really can't wait. I just got another text from this person that I want to tell you. I really want to be able to share our testimony. Really, really amazing story to tell you, and incredible personalities. It's just, I just love this. I love what we do. I love the people that we get to meet and the experiences that the Father brings before us. How he brings people to us, it's staggering to me, and we're always completely blown away by that. So I'm going to start today's show, and I won't ramble on anymore, and I'm going to get right into the content. I'm not going to be concerned about how long this goes. If I have to chop this up, I will. But for the most part, if you're dedicated and you're really trying to find what is happening and how you can survive, so to speak, not even survive physically. I don't think anybody even cares about that right now. Right now, you can consider the amount of people that are seeking suicide, which I have videos on suicide. I encourage you just to go to my channel, click on the videos, and then click search and search suicide. I can tell you why it's a bad idea. But the amount of people that are considering it today at the age from 15 to 25 is above that of the military, which is always astronomically high. So that means people are seeking death, but it flees from them. Now, why it flees from them is a different story, but that's going to become a very, very different time as well. So this is where I always say that there are multiple understandings of something that is said. And just because it means true and that it's true right now doesn't mean it won't be true and more authentically true in the future. So when you begin to try to understand the things that we speak and understand scripture, understand we're not speaking to any of these understandings with any dogmatic belief. Dogmatic beliefs got us into this mess. Do you understand that? When you say dogmatically, no, that is exactly the truth, then you miss every variant of every single different side or an angle that you can describe something from. And again, I'm going to quickly do this for the new folks. Here's a mug. If I asked you to describe that mug from this angle, you would have a very specific way of describing that. So somebody wrote a scripture about a direction and an angle that they saw. And then somebody else wrote a scripture about it described this way. Now, wouldn't that seem like two entirely different things? But yet it's the same thing. So when you read in scripture something that has different names, a God that has different names, it's usually the same one. Not always. Pay attention to the attributes in the scripture, because a God doesn't come in and destroy little babies and innocents to make a point. So understand who that is, and remember that Satan exalted himself on high, placed himself on the throne, and did what? Called himself God. So for those new folks, I'm just going to invite you to think about something. And this is for the new folks. People that have been here on this channel for a long time have heard this. But I'm just going to ask you to think about something. And that ask is, Satan is awful. He's terrible. We agree. He's manipulative. He's a murderer, and he's a liar. So, where in the Bible are those evil works of Satan? I'll give you a minute. Can't think of one? Come on. At least one. Just one example. Where's the evil works of Satan? Job, you say. Oh, Job. What was Satan doing with Job? Why did he go after Job? Where was he before he was told to go to Job? He was hanging out with the angels. Where? In heaven. In fact, the way it's described is lounging. He was very comfortable there. He was clearly welcomed. So think about that for a minute and think about what his purpose is in your life. What's the purpose of the enemy? Well, he's a murderer and a liar. He's a refiner. He will refine you because you're not leaving his place unless you can be. So that's how the few are picked. Few will endure him. Look at the masses following him. Look at them. Do you understand how many are following him? Millions upon millions. In fact, billions following him. Think they're following God. They're not. So I'm going to play you a warning. I'm going to play this warning right now. And this is a video that I had done and put together December 29th, 2013, which is kind of interesting because it was December 31st that I uploaded my first video to the Global Witness channel. At the time, it was called Anonymous Witness because I was still anonymous. It wasn't until 3 videos later that I felt that I needed to remove the mask and was told essentially to do so. But I'm going to play this. Now, this video that I'm going to play you only has 404 views. And it was on a channel that I had made called Go Dark Web. And so essentially what I was doing was bringing secrets from the dark web and bringing them to the public web so they could see the things that hackers were bringing to the forefront. Well, the site was beautiful, and you'll see it at the end here, and it was gorgeous, and it lasted about, I don't know, about 2 weeks before it was taken down. And much came by way of attacks as a result, and the governing institutions, whoever those might have been, went to work. And I tracked and watched this, and of course, I was just called a lunatic that it really wasn't happening, but it really truly was, because ultimately it landed myself in prison. So not because anything was done wrong. If you want to know, you can go back and look up in my videos. I have my full testimony. I think it's like 4 hours long. You can go through all of that. You want to question anything, you want to beat me up, go there and listen to those. So I just thought I'd send a bunch of the new subscribers, but I'm going to play this video right now. And this was a warning that I had posted. And basically what my tagline of the company was, that the dark side of everything, the truth is hidden in the dark. And that's why you have to shed the light on the truth. So it was Go Dark Web, and Derek in the Dark was the show that I would do. I would do a video show, and then I'd post all the articles and videos and things that I'd found in the dark web and post them into the public web. Yeah, that didn't go over well. So I'm going to play this video right now so you can watch this. Let me try to make this a little bit bigger here. And this is just a reminder that we were warned a while ago. And I want you to listen very closely. For some of you that have heard it, you may remember. For those of you that haven't, understand that this is a speech given by JFK, and it's included in a video that I created for this. So I'm going to play this, and Go Dark Web was the name of the YouTube channel. It's still up. I don't have access to it anymore. I can't log into it. I can't remember anything. You know, they destroyed everything, but the channel's still up. So all of the videos on the channel are videos that I just uploaded and found, and I was really just learning YouTube algorithms. So I'm going to play this, and from here, I'm going to go through all the subject matter that we're intended to discuss tonight. So sorry for the long open, but we'll get started with this right now. So pay attention closely to what JFK says. Do I have audio here? Hold on.
All the people in the left wing, rock, and all the people in the right wing, rock, and all the people in.
Yes, now this is a video I made, and yes, that's heavy metal rock. So, but I'm going to read this to you so you can go through this. April 27, 1961, John F. Kennedy gave a speech that ultimately cost him his life. This is true. The president of the press event speech is rarely played by the mainstream media, even after he warned them not to conceal what he says and what they see. His warning was real. The people he warned are real and active agents. Subversion, infiltration, and overall plan he spoke of is not only in effect, it has consumed both parties with infiltrators. Now, this is a whole different ballgame because this is from 2013 with infiltrators. If you love this country, you are not a Democrat and you are not a Republican. You are their enemy, and knowing who to trust is almost impossible now. That was 2013 and long before that. Long before that. The only thing that has changed since this speech is we didn't listen to his warning, and it's still the truth.
Underground, by myself, stupefied, coming back again. All the people in the high rise, and all the people in the projects, and all the heads in the body.
He was a great hope for change. The color of his skin, the upbringing, the internationalism, the globalism seemed all evident.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no secret is revealed. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
He's been a wolf.
Let me see your war face. Bullshit! You didn't convince me. The work was there, yes, sir!
Hold on. Let me get back here. So I had to use that as a little bit of a bathroom break. I apologize. But you heard the video. And it's incredibly important to understand what he said then and when he said it, and how few paid attention, and how few are paying attention today. Now, trust me, if you think for 1 second that because you're a Trump voter or a Trump supporter, that you're awake, you're going to learn something here. Now, I have to be careful about what I show. I have to be careful about what we talk about. This is where you have to hear one thing, hear another thing, and you have to build the middle of it. There is no other way. The censorship isn't just going to be on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. The censorship is coming where you won't even be able to speak these things in your yard. If your neighbor hears you, oh, they're coming. If you think that what I'm saying is an over exaggeration, then you don't know anything about history. You know nothing about the people that run this world or the systems. Although the mystics and the ancients, and even from an education standpoint, you can find it. But they make damn sure that everything is peachy keen and that you follow exactly what they tell you the truth is. This is a terrifying thing, and you're witnessing it take place today. The alteration of the truth, the rewriting of history, the removing, the erasing of actual events. It's mind-boggling to watch. Now, I'm not surprised. Obviously, I was saying this in 2013. But it's always astonishing to watch The Walking Dead. Christ said, "Let the dead bury the dead." Who do you think he was talking about? Do you understand how accurate his time was to ours? Soon, you, me, many of us will be in isolation areas, maybe even camps, most likely. Unless, of course, you have the ability to isolate without anything from the outside world. Because that might be the only way you'll be able to survive it without being made to do what they want you to do. Slavery. You think you haven't been a slave up till now? You haven't slaved to make money, to pay into their system? Complete lie of value. Money has no value because they can destroy it. If somebody can destroy something, it has no value, people. If you can destroy it, if I can wreck it, it actually doesn't have value. Real value. Real value. This pen, it's valuable while it works. Does it have intrinsic value? Something that is valuable without it actually being here. If I could destroy it, smash it, does it become something else? Does it maintain its value? This is why gold and the dollar has been at odds, because gold actually has an intrinsic value and money doesn't. Currency does not have value. Some would call gold money, and I would agree with that, and call the dollar currency. So understand that we need to continually think about these things and remind ourselves of the situation that they're in. And I'm going to play a video right now, and this is of Glenn Beck, and I played a few of Glenn's. Regardless of what you think of Glenn, okay, I can tell you right now, I've met Glenn many times. He is a very genuinely sweet man. And he is very good about what he does as a journalist. He really, I mean, he's put together an amazing network of people. And he does better investigations than you will find anybody doing in any media. So because he has the money and he has the folks to do it, I would love to have 100 people to run out and find out if something is true for me and bring that stuff back to me. That'd be awesome. Man, I could talk about this stuff all day. So let me show you Glenn, because this is a video and it says Glenn snaps over Dem corruption. It's not over, Glenn TV, and this is on his YouTube channel, Blaze TV. And I'm going to play this just so you can get a sense, and tell me if you don't feel exactly the same way, but pay attention to the things that he says, because everything that he says when he's talking about verifiable things, that it is fact, he's telling the truth. It's not like there isn't facts, and this is where we're going to get into the gaslighting aspect of this. But let me play this right now because it's important for you to see Glenn's video. And I'm going to play the whole thing. I mean, I can edit this out if I have to. But please go to Blaze TV on YouTube, and you'll see that down. You'll see what the logo is, Blaze TV. So when you go there, subscribe and make sure that that you let Glenn know that Global Witness sent you. Add that in the comments somewhere. And that also helps when you help talk about this channel. When this channel is mentioned on other channels, it begins to work within the YouTube algorithm. So please do that. So I'm going to play this right now, share this like I said. I'm going to play the entire thing. And if I have to edit it out later, I will. Make this a little larger.
For the last few days, I have, and I think you feel the same, had a gut punch. And I've been trying to put my finger on it, and I've been trying to figure out what to say to you and how to say it. And I think I just have to say it like this. I don't know about you, but I'm tired. I am worn out. I am fed up. I've had enough. I am tired of exposing corruption, doing our homework, going overseas and having documents translated to make sure they're exactly right, presenting the evidence. We know what's happening, except then once we expose it, nothing happens. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody pays for a damn thing anymore. Nothing. If you and I did half the things that people in Washington do every day, you and I would go to prison. Clinton got away with it. Even the left knew that the Clinton Foundation was dirty. They sold uranium to our biggest enemy, Russia. Nothing. No. She can take confidential, top secret emails and put them on her server at her home, something you and I would go to prison for. We would be in prison for the rest of our lives. Not a big deal. Benghazi? No. Not only did we show you that we were gun running to a group in Syria that became ISIS, that's what we were doing in Benghazi. Not only that, but just the killing of a U.S. ambassador, and, might I point out on Veterans Day, we abandon our troops. Did anything happen? Nope. Nope. Nothing. Nothing. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of actually being open and saying, okay, well, let's look into the spying on this presidential candidate. That's a pretty hefty charge. Were they doing it? And then finding out, yes, they were, and nothing happens. He was colluding with Russia. My gosh, that should be the biggest scandal of all time if that were true. If it wasn't true, and it was started, and evidence, paperwork even showed that they knew, all the way to the White House. You'd think that would be even a bigger story. Lying to the FISA courts, nothing. Creating an enemies list, nothing. Using our own intelligence agencies to assist in this operation. Spending millions of dollars on a claim they knew that wasn't true. The collusion on Russia, they knew it before the president was ever elected. The scandal. The loss of billions of tax dollars in Ukraine, no big deal. The lies and the collusion with the Obama administration in Ukraine, no big deal. Hunter Biden, forget about Burisma. What was that, $7 billion? Ha, who cares? Look at Hunter Biden and his father in China. Oh, but we don't have any proof of that. Yes, we do. We have all the proof anyone who cares to be honest needs. We have all the documents on his own frickin' laptop, which have been verified for people that were working with him.
Glenn said frickin'.
Who were Democrats that had those same emails on their computer. Nothing. The scandal of our Justice Department, the deep state, which I didn't believe in 4 years ago. My gosh, you've got to be dead and probably voting in the last election if you don't see the deep state. The corruption of our media telling us to deny our own eyes. There's a car on fire, and they're like, oh, nothing's happening here. It's totally peaceful. There's a car on fire behind you, but we're not supposed to notice that. Good has been made evil, and evil is made good. They ask you now to don't believe your own eyes, believe us. Our country is being torn apart on the streets by radicals who are marching with no Trump, no Biden, no America signs. But don't worry about that. This is just a peaceful group. Really? Our children are being indoctrinated with all kinds of crap, telling them that they're racist because of the color they were born with. The teachers' unions completely out of control. The lies of Black Lives Matter, Inc., and no one seems to care. No one seems to care that Black Lives Matter is actually a corporation. That Black Lives Matter, on their own manifesto, said they wanted to destroy the nuclear family. But that's all fine. Antifa? No. They're not wild in the streets. That's only an idea. Yeah, kind of like Nazism was an idea. But yet, if you support the Constitution, if you just say, I want a fair and legal count, you're a radical. You're an anti-government zealot. I've had it. I've had enough. I almost didn't make the show last week because this is what I wanted to say to you. Except it would have been followed with, so see you later. Do you know how hard this is? I know you do because you're doing it in your own life. Do you know how hard it is to know this stuff, to be able to prove this stuff, and yet nobody seems to care? You're the bad guy. And then to tell yourself, remain peaceful with love in your heart. Let me get this out of the way. Nothing is over. CNN and Fox News, surprisingly enough, don't have the power to declare victory for anyone. The hypocrisy from the mainstream media and the left calling for Trump to concede and just roll over and accept the results is staggering. When you have Democrats, just so happy to accept their defeat. Really? When? When have they done that? When have they, in the last 20 years, accepted defeat? Not since George H.W. Bush. Al Gore launched a 36-day legal battle in 2000. I was in Florida at the time. He didn't fully concede until December. And even to this day, they still say George Bush stole the election. They delegitimized him. The entire time, that was just a dry run for what they did to Donald Trump. To this day, Democrats claim Russia stole the 2016 election. To this day, they spent over $30 million to try to prove it. We spent, $100 and some phone time? And we showed you it wasn't true. And by the way, who's the governor of Georgia right now? Well, if you ask Stacey Abrams and many within the Democratic Party, it's Stacey Abrams. They didn't give up that. She still says that was an illegitimate election. She lost by 50,000 votes. It's illegitimate. I actually won. Democrats are the biggest sore losers of all time. But Trump, if he just doesn't roll over, you know what? Screw you. There is a process. And the Trump campaign has every right to see it through. It may or may not change the election, but the process matters. The law matters. Democrats and the media are doing everything in their power to convince you that what Trump is doing right now is not normal. It is. I told you before we went into this election how the left is organizing street protests to force Donald Trump into conceding. Well, did the right do that in 2000? Did we start burning things to the ground while the Russia investigation was going on? No. And you know what, Bill Barr? Where the hell are you? Where are you? I am sick and tired of everybody saying that you are so great. Oh, my gosh, he's just the fairest guy ever. Where the hell are you? We don't trust our justice system. What are you doing? The left, organized to force Trump's hand, is now moving into phase 2. New protests began last Friday. If you scroll through their list, They plan even more action going all the way into January. But we're in the eye of the hurricane right now. Do you notice there were everybody was set to riot on the streets, and it's almost like they got a phone call. No, hold back. Looks like maybe we can pull this thing off without any riots. It's weird how peaceful it's been, but I guarantee you the minute it looks like they have any evidence on this stealing of the election, or maybe it was just an honest mistake, you have any evidence, I guarantee you they will be in the streets rioting. I showed you earlier the linchpin for these protests to really kick into high gear would be if Trump refused to concede. The longer this drags out, the calls from the left to hit the streets are going to grow louder. Forget the fact that this is quite literally how the process works. A process Democrats take advantage of every time they lose. Stop lecturing me about trying to delegitimize the next president. It's not official until December 9th. There is a process outlined in the Constitution, and it is Donald Trump's duty to investigate this election. Yes, there are anomalies. Yeah, believe it or not. It's very important that we learn to separate the crap from the real questions. And there's a lot. I mean, we are neck deep in bull crap if you go out online. You're going to get, I would bet you that there is Russian operatives right now playing both sides. You're going to find out the Trump campaign is now focusing on all the wrong things, or maybe all the right things. Let's look at what the lawyers are focusing, because this is not a political process. Last Tuesday was a political process. Now it's constitutional. I have several questions that I think should be asked. Why were the poll watchers in Pennsylvania kept away from doing their jobs? One poll watcher said, and I quote, "We literally had no input and no ability to watch anything." Similar claims were made in Michigan. Although poll watchers were inside the rooms, they weren't allowed to be close enough to actually see anything. When word of this got out, take a look at what they did. Oh, yeah, but that's easily explained away. I've never seen anything like this before. Why would you cover the windows? Well, the city of Detroit, which is squeaky clean, told Fox News, which is so on our side, that they did this to protect voter information and filming ballots. But look how far away the actual vote counters are from the windows. How are you going to see that? I said over a month ago that it would be the changes in the rules, and I guarantee you this is where you're going to get them if there's a way to change the outcome of this from Biden, which really looked on election night like it was for Donald Trump, and then all of a sudden it went to Joe Biden. Well, maybe that's all legitimate. But let me tell you something. It's going to be in the changing of the rules in the middle of the game, shifting to mass mail-in ballots. I told you it would cause an insane amount of chaos and open the door to either real fraud or, at the very least, the appearance of fraud. Mail-in ballots are historically rejected. Tens of thousands are usually rejected. In Pennsylvania, the rate is always about 1%. If you're the first time filling out the ballot, that goes up to 3%, usually in Pennsylvania. It's usually due to human error, not filling it out correctly. In 2016, 266,208 mail-in ballots were cast in Pennsylvania. 2,534 were rejected. That's just under 1%. So what was it this year, when all these people did it for the very first time? Should be 3%. No, this year rejected the mail-in ballots was almost 30 times lower in Pennsylvania. Out of over 2.6 million ballots, they only found 951 that were bad. Yeah, that is really good. That's a rate of 0.03%. But don't worry, nothing to see here.
So, Nothing to see here. Nothing at all. Let me get this out of full screen here because I've got something else to show you. When Glenn is talking about corruption, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, let me share this. And now let me just, before I share this, I'm going to let you know right now. Everybody go, oh, well, you're a Republican or you're conservative. Far from it. I'm not either party at all. I'm not independent. I'm not any of it. None of the system appeals to me. None of it. Because why? It's a system. It's someone else's governance. For Christ, the government rests on his shoulders. And if Christ is in you, then the government rests on your shoulders. That means govern yourself. If you learn to govern yourself, then you don't need somebody else governing you. People say, oh, anarchist is bad. I'm not even an anarchist. Because an anarchist doesn't believe in government at all. I believe in government 100%. The difference is the government that I believe in is Christ. The government that I adhere to is Christ. That means it's the real me. It's me, who I really am, not the BS guy that the world created, not the one that my parents and grandparents and people thought I should be because society said I should be this way. Oh, you got that, you should do that. That means we all end up living lives for someone else because they think I should do that. They think I'm good at that. They like that, so I'll do that because I want to make them happy. And in the end, you get to the end of your life and you go, geez, I've spent my entire life making someone else happy. Now, that's not a bad thing. Or is it? Do you see how there's different sides to this? Making other people happy. As long as you want to do that, as long as that is who you are, then serving those other people is 1000% serving their wishes for you. See, that's where it comes in differently. Their wishes for you. Do they know you? Now you begin to understand what this system is all about. Making you like them. Making you like everyone else. Be like everyone else. Act like everyone else. It's a control measure. Cuss words, telling you what you can and cannot say. That word is bad. I had a conversation today with Rob about that. You met Rob in the opening video. Bad words. Really? Bad words. Who told you that word is bad? And what kind of paradigm do you live in that a word is bad? How about your actions? The person that'll tell you, well, you said a bad word, lives a life of horrendous actions against others, hatred in their heart. What? Think about that. What makes that word bad? Other than someone telling you, you shouldn't say it. The hell is wrong with this world? So I'm going to go to this next. I'm going to show you what corruption is. And make no mistake about it. When you see this, I'm just going to show you, but I've got more coming to show you that I'm not talking about corruption just in one party. So I'm going to show you this right now. What is corruption? Well, this is corruption. This is what it looks like. Billions of dollars, billions, multiple countries funneled and laundered into Papa's account. Oh, sure. The crackheads get fed. They have their crack. Let's just see what that brings up. It's amazing. There are literally millions of pictures of this guy here asleep in his bed with a crack pipe. I type in that guy and crack pipe into Google and its images. Oh my goodness. No, this is one. It looks like, oh my goodness, it's there, but it's not the main one. Yeah, there's the crack pipe right there. Fell asleep with it in his mouth. Now, I'm not bad-mouthing this guy. I feel awful for him. He's the victim from this one right here. Right here. Hey, this guy, not happy. This guy, happy. This guy, not happy. Son, father, good, evil? Think again. So let's go to the next guy. Interesting. Meets with that organization who say they are that, who are none of that. None of that. None of them. Not one. Not one is real. Not one. Not one is real. They're all Talmudists. They're all Babylonian Satanists. Every single one of them. Make no mistake about it. Christ said, for they say they are Jews, but they lie. Who lied? He was dealing with the same situation as we are right now. Pharisees and Sadducees. I just showed them to you. Same ones. Who are they? What do they run? Do they run Russia? Have you ever heard about the Bolshevik Revolution? Pay attention to the Bolshevik Revolution. Study it. Know it. And you'll understand the urgency of my statement about this very group. I'm going to give you an example. When the Soviet Union fell, the head of Chabad in the U.S. went to the former USSR when communism supposedly failed and fell. He went there to build Chabad houses. Now let me see if I can bring this up. Let me see if I can bring this up. But he went out there to establish Chabad houses. Hey, we need to establish some Talmudist, Jewish, Talmud and Judaism, just so you know, is about the same as Anton LaVey's Church of Satanism merging with Oral Roberts University. But somehow that happened. Somehow. And during Christ's days, he was telling you that it had already happened. For there are many antichrists. This is already bad. If it wasn't already destroyed, and if the deception hadn't already been established, then why did he come to talk to you about it? Nobody would have heard. Just like nobody hears today unless they can't figure this out. So let's go to the next little piece here of corruption from that side. Just to give you an idea, just an example. Look at this organization. You see that? AIPAC. Do you know anything about them? If you don't, I'm sure you've seen videos of every single politician that you've ever followed that has any type of notoriety whatsoever. They will be speaking at this convention. Oh, no, make no mistake about it. This convention and this organization owns owns government institutions, owns them, runs them. Why? Because they finance them. Gee, what was that thing about money and currency that we were talking about earlier? Yeah, that's that thing. That portion of Babylonian magic. Now, look at this. But what is political corruption? Well, let's read. What's the definition? Wikipedia says political corruption or malpolitics is the use of powers by government officials or their network contacts for illegitimate gain. Illegitimate gain. Hold on. I have to. Illegitimate gain. Like taxes? Like taxes. Federal taxes. Hey, I don't know what they do with what I give, but I gave my blood, sweat, and tears for it. I fought. I sacrificed time with family. I sacrificed time with people I love. I sacrificed time in church. I sacrificed time in my entire life. For who and for what? For a system that establishes a lack of value that is staggering beyond recognition. And somehow we've fallen for this. We've fallen for it. Clearly, we're going to get into this because this has gotten much worse. Glenn Beck's video, his frustration is palpable, but it is not to the degree that millions of people feel right now. Not even close, because they are being far more gaslit than Glenn Beck is. You're a nutcase. You go to the store and somebody will try to make you feel like you're nuts. There's a problem. Now listen to this, though. Let's just keep reading this stupid crap. Forms of corruption vary, but it can include bribery, we've witnessed, extortion. Oh, gee, extortion. That's what we live. Cronyism. Well, name one politician. Name one. Name one in any corporation. I can tell you right now, I, as a senior executive at many corporations, many Fortune 500 corporations, I can tell you right now that this cronyism, oh yeah. You know how many people I hired? As a result of the business, I hired one guy at a corporation. I'm not going to incriminate him or anybody else in this thing, not even include myself, but I told him how to negotiate on behalf, because that was me at the time, very much of the world. You can hear my testimony. I have no problem telling you the stupid crap I've done in the past. It's very different than who I am now. Doesn't mean I'm perfect by any stretch, but I sure as hell am not the man I used to be. And neither should you be, just by seeing this, waking up. But this cronyism, I gave these people careers with zero understanding of the job that they have, because I would just do it for them. They'd present a PowerPoint presentation that I'd make for them. I just send it to them and say, hey, present this at the meeting, and pay them $120,000, $140,000 a year. I did their gig for them because I could count on them to do things that I needed them to do. This is how it works. It's not like I'm talking to you from a place that hasn't done it. This is why it's important to understand why I'm here and what I do. I've done what these people are doing at levels of millions of dollars. If anybody could prove it in any way, I'd be in prison. And we have proven that these people have done what we've proven it. We would all be in prison with the level of evidence that we have just from me, much less Glenn, much less everybody else. We have the goods. If you don't understand what is happening at this stage, I cannot help you. If you want to know who Christ is and who the Father is, and you want to know how you've been lied to by your religion and your organization that they would call a church or a denomination, if you haven't gotten that from the videos that I've done and you've watched them, I can't help you anymore. I don't want to be your daily dose of feeling cool. Oh, if I don't hear from them, because then what's that on? Because I'm temporary just like everybody else. I'm temporary like you. The words I say will live forever. That's why Christ could say that. The world will pass away. My words will never pass away. What I'm saying to you right now will never go away. Why? Like the rock thrown into a calm pond. You cannot stop what I say. You cannot stop what you say, which is why this thing defiles us. Pay close attention to what you do right now with this thing. This is the worst weapon you have. And it rarely serves a good purpose. This is exactly why I don't talk when I've got nothing to say. When my heart and my emotions and my spirit is in consternation, why would I come and bring that to you? Why? I come to you and bring to you what I say when I figured it out for me, because then my testimony feeds you. We are saved by what? Our testimony. Let me read this to you. Let me start with this a little bit. I'm going to go back to a scripture here. I'm going to break, because I brought this up. This is Luke 12, warnings and encouragement. Think about where this is at and where this takes place. And this might seem like I'm jumping around, but I promise you, this isn't jumping around, because this is exactly how we're being confronted by things here, there, all over the place. So I'm addressing these things in the same way. Luke 12, meanwhile, when a crowd of many thousand had gathered, so that they were trampling on one another. Well, that's where we're at today. People are seeking. Jesus began to speak first to his disciples, saying, be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees. The yeast, which is hypocrisy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You just watch Glenn. I don't have to tell you what it is. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed. Interesting that he's saying that. Their hypocrisy will expose. This is what was so genius. This is why he said, do you see all of these things? All of these things must come to pass. Why? Why? Why such horrible things? Well, so there is nothing concealed that will be hidden. That's why. It takes both. When does the enemy come? Immediately. When Christ rises up, when does the enemy come? Immediately. When the enemy rises up, when does Christ come? Immediately. This is a binary system we live in, folks. It is impossible to have greatness rise in a binary system without the enemy rising. And it's impossible to have the enemy rise without Christ rising. Now, how do you not know that Christ rises when the enemy rises? Well, because there's those that control what you know is happening. They control it. So, you've seen what corruption is, but how does this corruption, people say, how can this corruption take place? Well, this is how it takes place. People are fearful of their lives, and they fought their whole life for a system, for a monetary thing, and they got bank accounts, and they have money, and they have influence, and these people, they've spent their entire life making other people happy, and that's a kingdom that they've built and they manage, and they're like, oh my God, I got to keep my kingdom up. Well, what happens when your kingdom can be threatened, where you can be extorted, really powerful people. And how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, here's how you do that. Right here. This is how you do that. You get folks to lure you to eat from an apple. Just eat from this, and you'll learn something new. Now, this person right here, this guy, he's sitting somewhere. He's definitely not dead. He did not kill himself. He's enjoying himself. This person right here has a father that was a Mossad agent and a massive media mogul. How rare that an intelligence agency, and to call them Central Intelligence is kind of ironic. It's more like the Central Manipulation Psychological Destruction Agency. But, hey, let's just not mess with the names. But this is how they operate. If you want to control people that have things, let's just say you're worth billions upon billions of dollars and you happen to be the former CEO of the largest software company in the world. And let's just say that you're also maybe a guy that runs and owns the largest online retailer and has innovative technology. And let's just say you're the guy that, has all of this technology that they've granted to you and helped you get. It's not coming from your head, but you have this incredible space agency that's really kind of taken on the privatized version of the governmental private agency with a acronym of, that sounds like PASTA or PASA. And let's just say these people that run these organizations and maybe have a site where people can, with a few hundred characters, make statements and tell you what's going on all over the world. And let's say you have that company. And let's say you have financial organizations where people make transactions online. And let's say you have search engines and video sites and information sites and all of those. Let's say you own and run all of those things. What are we talking about? 50 people? 50? How do you control all of that? Wow, you got, 8 board of directors of this company and 8 of that or 10 of that company. How do you control those people and make them use those companies and their influence to do what you want to do and what you need them to do? How do you do that? Like this? This person right here will never die, will never be kept in prison, will live a very luxurious life at some point. Trust me on that. This person right here, this one right here, this one right here. Now, what is her agenda? To save her own hide. To save her own hide. So I want to play something else here from Tim Truth. If you don't know Tim Truth, so it says that our audio is messed up. I'm sorry, here audio says it's messed up. Getting notifications. I have perfect. Everything seems to be going wonderful, but let me just check on this stream before I talk about anything else further. It's crazy. It made this new thing. I'm just going to stop. Let me see. Okay, it says audio is messed up. Did I blow my mic? I hear myself perfect and my mic goes through here. Can you hear me? Audio, murder by numbers. This could totally be YouTube screwing with me because I'm showing my stream health as being really good. It's actually showing right now that it's quite healthy. It says my stream quality is excellent. So, interesting that it does that. It says it's that excellent. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. Not quite sure because it says I'm just going to follow this. See, this is how this works. System says it's working. I have no choice. Sorry, I'm sweating a little here. It's getting shiny. It's hot in this room. These lights, and even though they're LEDs, but computers and everything's definitely heat things up. But I want to go and share this because I want to make it through these things because this is really important. Because the media, let me make sure, hold on. Like a bad speaker is broken, it says. Sounds like a demonic parrot. Hold on, let me try something. Let me do that. How's this? Hold on, I'm going to change to this mic here just for a second. This is the microphone on the camera. Let me change back to my mic and see. All right, hold on one second. How does this sound? How does this sound? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Better? You can hear me? 5x5. Derek's better. Derek can hear me. Yeah. Good. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Yes, Mike sounds better. I'm sorry, folks. I have no idea. Obviously, I didn't touch anything. Boy, the chat goes crazy when it's all fixed. Okay. I appreciate that. So let me continue with this. I want to show you something here. And I'm going to play you a little bit. Hold on. Sounds better. Everybody says sounds better, sounds better, sounds better. Yes, yay. One person said pay. Joanna, I see that. So I'm going to play this video for you right now. And this is just a little piece. I'm not going to play the, it's Tim Truth. And if you don't know Tim Truth, then I'm going to introduce you to a few other channels that maybe some of you are already subscribed to, but you should be paying attention to. So let me play this video because this is Tim Truth explaining something about a technological issue. They call it a glitch. It's not a glitch. There is no such thing as glitch in code. It's intentional one way or the other, or just bad coding, but it does something. But I'm going to play this because he's talking about something that actually did take place. Now, the company is connected to lots of people involved in one side of the equation, board of directors, malfeasance, corruption. We don't have to question the level of corruption anymore. I think everyone, even those that aren't awake, are at a minimum going, well, this corruption is deeper than I could even comprehend. So they're being awakened to some degree. But let me just play a little bit of Tim here. Tim's a good dude. I like this guy a lot. Tim Truth is a very, very good guy. So if you have not gone to his channel, Tim space Truth. Tim Truth, he only has 14,700 subscribers. If Tim hears this, Tim, I'd love to have you on the show. I'd love to talk to you. I think you're a very, very detail-oriented guy, and I would like to just get more information and talk to you about this. But let me just play this video. Go to Tim. If you go to Tim's channel, please let him know that I sent you. Put a comment in the comment section on the videos, particularly this one, so he knows. But I'm going to share this with you right now. So this is Tim Truth. Like I said, 14,700 subscribers. And
that's, I guess, a percentage.
Let me go to this spot right here.
Yeah, that's a percentage.
Hold on. Let me make sure that I'm sharing the sound since we had issues with audio.
Out of 100. And then this is out of from 0 to 1. So 0.00099.
Just pay attention to what he's saying here after this.
The maximum possible leeway. So keep that in mind. We'll come back to that. Real quick, before we get into some more interesting stuff here, I just want to show everybody, if you haven't seen this yet, this very strange story about the media deleting. The media deletes their election night coverage. NBC News, ABC News, and CBS News election night videos currently down. So if you click on these videos, it just says the live stream not available. Live stream not available. live stream not available. And I'm pretty sure MSNBC does the same one. There's a bunch of these major news networks. And how did they all get the same order? It's almost as if somebody started freaking out when they saw that the votes were switching. That wasn't supposed to happen on live TV, was it? And so rather than risk it, they destroyed the evidence and took it down. That's kind of my impression. That's kind of what I'm looking into. I'm not alleging anything. I'm not saying any.
Okay, so I'm not going to go more into that video, but that actually took place. Literally, actually, factually took place. Ask any of them. They'll go, what are you talking about? That never happened. What is happening? So let me get out of this. And I want to show you how powerful the media has become. But let me first explain to you something, and I'm going to share this. This is the Wikipedia for AP, or Associated Press. You might have noticed in the video that Tim was playing, it said, the AP has called the presidential race for Joe Biden. The AP. The AP. That's this group. What is it? Not for profit, cooperative. It's a co-op. Co-ops are really good. They're really good at keeping things away from things. That's why you should have a corporation and make it a co-op, kind of like we have here at the Refinery Ranch. You got to play by their rules. Sly as a serpent, gentle as a dove. They can't destroy the system that they honor and destroy you at the same time without hurting themselves. So you kind of have to be like them. This is a wire service. It's a news wire service. Pay attention to this. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about this. $568 million in revenue in 2015. Guaranteed that is upwards of $1.5 billion today. And then it says a net income of $1.6 million. So see, they only pay taxes on that. That number right there. $1.6 million. Although they had United States dollar, we don't need to see that. $568 million. But since they only supposedly made income of that, they pay taxes on that. Number of employees, 3,200. Those 3,200 employees essentially split the vast majority of that. So who are they and what the hell do they do? They're a wire service. You write a press release and they publish it to the news world. That's what they say they are. They have some reporters, they have an organization, they'll do some independent reporting. What makes them so special? Well, when you learn how a co-op is created and how it's structured, you'll understand that there is many people that could be part of that co-op, including very powerful people. And of course they are. They determine what happens, but they're a media co-op. And somehow they called the election. The election the votes haven't even been certified in the states yet. Certified, authenticated, not one, just news, people talking. But the media became the arbiter of truth, abandoning their principles of what being a journalist is. Gone. Opinion, 100%. Lies, we don't care. Why? Because they think they have the moral authority. Do you understand? Good and evil. That is good will be seen as evil. That will be seen as good will be, or evil will be good. They tell you what it is. Why? Because people are so concerned about what I said earlier. You have built your life to satisfy others. My gosh, how could you ever go against such a foundation that you have established in yourself? This is why Christ called on you to leave all of it. Now, many people left their homes and everything, but he's talking about everything you believe. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be going out and leaving. if that's what you're called to do, is what I tell you to do. You do what you're called to do. The separation of Christ, the sovereignty of Christ in you is you abandoning what other people want you to do, what other people think I should be doing. Other people tell me, you should be doing this on your channel. You should be doing that on you should be saying that. You should be doing that. Now, why would I pay attention to that? I hear, but ultimately I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. If they begin changing what I'm shown and what I'm asked to do, something's wrong. And it should be for you too. So I want to play just another video here. And we got a little bit of space to cover here. I hope you didn't plan a light evening. So this was a CNN politics page. Now, when I tell you the people that these media companies are gaslighting, Glenn was explaining it to you, gaslighting you. You're seeing them say the lies. You're witnessing the evidence. And they're going, what are you talking about? There's nothing here. Gaslighting is making you all feel like you're crazy. There is far more that is coming at all of you right now than you realize. They are attacking everybody at every angle, at every single angle. They are coming at you and making you a psychopath. You're not a psychopath. You're normal. They're trying to get you to join their psychopathy. That's the problem. You're a psychopath if you're not with them, the psychos. They're making you nuts. This is how they remake history. This is how they rewrite history. This is why it's a reset. This is why Christ said, they're going to cast you out. This is why he had to go across the river and talk to 5,000 people. Why were there 5,000 people in the wilderness? They didn't all walk out there to go see him. He went out there and they were there. Those were colonies of what? Lepers, outcasts. Were they really lepers? No. Was there really a pandemic of leprosy? No. Was there really these bad people infiltrating anything other than the Roman Empire and joined with the Pharisees and the Sadducees of Babylonian magic and their monetary systems, which is why Christ went in and overturned the tables of the money changers, changing money from real value of silver in the denarius to the bullshit currency of Caesar, which is why he said, give that shit back to Caesar. Give it back. It has no value. So let's play this. This is what we're up against. This is what you're being attacked with. You're a nutbag, a nut job, a complete insane person, and you need to be put on a list because you're crazy. And if you think the right won't create lists for the left, well, that's already happening too. They're just less apt to do it. They're slower to be heartless than those in the Democratic Party that say they are full of heart. They're not. They're full of themselves. Listen to this.
Trolls have had an easier time than they did 4 years ago. This time around, they just had to echo the president. And it's a pattern they've reportedly continued after the election, pumping up bogus claims about massive ballot tampering, while Russian state-run media amplifies Team Trump. And all of this, of course, has an impact. While nearly 80% of Americans agree that Joe Biden won the election, according to a Reuters Ipsos poll, some 40% of
Did you hear that? Again, this is where I have to go to this. He just said that 80% of Americans believe that Joe Biden won the presidency without a single vote being certified. Nothing's been certified right to this minute. But 80%, well, how's that possible? Well, I don't know, 70-something million people voted for Biden and 70-something million people voted for Trump. What was wrong? Well, all of their polls. So we already know that those polls are BS. Already know that. We already know. So what does he use? A poll, an Ipsos poll, saying that 80% of Americans, 80%, there's 300 plus million people in this country, 70 million people voted for. I guarantee you that not even remotely 60 million of the Trump voters think, at a minimum, 10 million wishy-washy ones. But I believe the Trump voters, they all know what the gig is. So it would be impossible for you to, even with 60 million of Trump voters that still believe that Trump won, to even remotely poll. And who did they poll? See, they might ask the questions, but ultimately they tell you what they want that poll to say, regardless of whether it actually happened. And many of the polls are designed, because I know a lot of these pollsters. Frank Luntz, that guy. Yeah, that guy, Frank Luntz. Oh, everybody loves it. Frank Luntz, he's such good. Trust me, not a good man. Just going to tell you, I know him. Not a good man. Not a nice man. Has no interest in you, has no interest in truth. He has a bank account. He's really interested in that bank account. Things like that. I know it stinks to look at the world like this, but it's the world we're in. But I wanted you to see this because this guy's saying that this poll was it. So let's go back. Let's listen a little bit more.
Republicans seem unwilling to recognize that reality. No doubt they've seen partisan TV and social media feeds serve up false alternative facts about voter fraud and other assorted scandals. But it's gotten so bad that members of Trump's own DHS cybersecurity agency felt compelled to state that there's no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. And if that's not enough to convince you, get this. The Trump campaign's own lawyer flat out contradicted the president in court yesterday, stating, "This is not a fraud case. We're not alleging fraud."
Now, again, this piece that I put, baseless conspiracy theory. Journalist saying baseless conspiracy theory about something that is being investigated and has hundreds of signed affidavits, tens of thousands of videos of the corruption taking place from these poll watchers and poll workers right in front of your eyes. Watching the back end systems of Dominion, the software that ran all of the battleground states that have an issue, all just happened to have, it's just a coincidence, folks. It just happens to be the software for all of them. Just them. Oh, and who's on the board of directors of that company? I don't know. There's some batty lady in San Francisco that runs this little tiny district that is so gerrymandered that she'll never be removed. Yeah, you know her. NP or her initials. Just keeping out of the fray here. But you know who I'm talking about. Boy, I'll tell you. The amount of, but for a media company to tell you that it's a baseless conspiracy theory, absent of the things, and their job is not to come to a conclusion. Ever. The CIA is infiltrated every single media company. And the mere fact, if you want to believe that Trump is that guy, have you looked at Sean Hannity, who Trump thinks is great? The guy wears a CIA button. Hello? He says he's CIA. It's like a badge. It's mind-blowing to watch. It is truly the living dead. It really is. It's incredible. But here's what I want to, earlier I said to you, pay attention to the Bolshevik Revolution. If you want to know what we're about to go through, if you want to know what tribulation looks like, study the Bolshevik Revolution. Do you want to know what's coming to a neighborhood near you? Do you want to know who did that Bolshevik Revolution? Well, remember I was talking about, I didn't prepare for this, but let's go to Chabad Locator. I'm going to do this. Let me just do this very quickly. Chabad Locator. I'm just going to put Russia. I've never done this. Not right at this second. Okay. Chabad.org. Chabad.org. More sites. What sites do they have? Well, they don't really show you anything, but the Kabbalah and the Talmud is what this is. They'll tell you that the Kabbalah and the Talmud are oral tradition of Torah. Oral tradition. This is exactly. Do you follow Jesus? And you say, oh yeah, no, we think all of those people in that area down in that part of all of these rabbis, they're all correct. Pay close attention. They're not Torah believers. They use Torah and they give an oral understanding of what it means, completely absent of any validation whatsoever from the Torah. And by the way, if God's word and God's law was put into the Torah, and I see Real BP Earthwatch here, good to see you, Real. Jesse, love you. If you have not checked out Real BP Earthwatch channel, please do so. Jesse is a good friend, and we're going to have him on the show again very soon. I want to hear from him because there's lots going on, and there's been so much happening, and I need to hear from him because I'm going to be talking about a little piece of things that he's more familiar with, and he's going to be better to educate you on. And so I think I'll bring him on for a show to talk about these pieces before we close this up. We're almost at 2 hours, and so I haven't done a 2-hour show in quite a while, and so I wanted to make sure that I got all of these things out. But I'm going to share to you Chabad Lubavitch here. This I just typed in Russia. Now, if you go into, these are all pretty major places in Russia. Now, I'm just going to click on one of them, see where this takes us. No thanks, go away. So there's just a synagogue there, and a rabbi, and a director. Now, when you go to many of these things, there will be schools, stores in different cities. There are areas all over. So here's one. View all results in that area. So let's go to all of the results of anything related to Chabad in this area. So it's only these. So this is a smaller town. In fact, I know approximately where this is at. But there are Chabad houses all over Russia. When you understand the Bolshevik Revolution and you understand the folks, these are the ones that Jesus was teaching you about. He wasn't talking about Jews. I didn't come to save the Jews, he said. I came for the who? The lost house of Israel. The ones that are lost. When he went up to talk to somebody and what are you talking about? You're nuts. The world is fine. The systems are perfect. The monetary system, we're all good. Don't talk to them. You don't have to convince them. That's exactly when Jesus said to them, well, don't worry. Don't be offended by me. Blessed are those that are not offended by me. I didn't come to save those that are well. You're fine. In other words, you think everything's fine. You're part of them. He's not going to convince you. I came for those that are sick, that know they're not well, that have been manipulated, that have been taken over. That's who he came to talk to. That's who I'm here to talk to. You don't agree with me? Don't be offended. Don't send me nasty stuff in chat. Don't send me death threats in email. Don't send my family members nasty things. Ignore me. I didn't come for you. I'm not talking to you. So you have nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry about me at all. Not at all. So let me show you something. Let me get rid of this. I want to talk to you about before we wrap things up here. I think I've given you some things to noodle on. And if you're wondering and you need more teaching about what Christ in you means, about the manipulation of scriptures, go to my channel, click on playlists, click on Alpha Mega playlist, play that from the beginning. You're going to need to listen to it a few times. I'm not monetized, so I'm not encouraging you to go there and give me views. It doesn't matter to me. I don't make any money off of it. It's only for you. Watch my testimonies, and you can. There are a lot of other content. Steve Olson from WSO, Relentless Maverick, a lot of other people came on my blog show. And we're going to do podcasts, many podcasts. So just audio only, because we can sit down in the morning in the robe, complete hair up in the air, not worried about. We can sit down, we can have these conversations, and we go through scripture and have the conversations at any time. 4 people, we can outcall, make calls, that all is blended into the system. We have the whole thing. So I'm going to share this screen right now. This is our podcast link, blogtalkradio.com/global witness. This is it here. Here's some of the episodes from the past 2 years ago. I'm reigniting this. We're going to be doing many more of these things, sometimes daily. And just like I said in the video, and you can send email to the Global Witness at Proton Mail. Send me samples of a podcast you have. If you want me to mirror some stuff, if you have something specifically you want to say, I'll bring it to the audience here. We'll create a separate channel just for that. This podcast will have things, different shows, different time slots. People that are here, people that are in the area, you're coming through. You want to come into the studio and record some podcasts, you can. If you live in the area, you want to do a podcast and you've got something special to say, let's hear what you have to talk about. Come in, use the studio. That's the point. We provide this platform. We'll provide an audience. What do you have to say? So these are all old podcasts. Now, this, I had lots of other stuff, podcasts from way back when I was, let's see if it still has any of them on there. I took them all down, it looks like. So Global Witness Radio Call-In Show. So all the way back 2 years ago. So only 2 years ago, only during this year. So go here, subscribe, and I think we've only got everything's hard to continue. There we are. Only 526 followers. So go there, but 44,443 listeners. That's, wow, only one more, and we'll have 44444. So go here, subscribe. We would really appreciate that. I want you to also go to this channel, Diehold Foundation. Subscribe to this. Watch this guy's series. Look at his playlist. He's a lot like your 6th grade science teacher. He's a really knowledgeable guy. Amazing things he's going to talk to you about. Crustal displacement, the sun, about it novating. That's the day of the Lord. Also, Dutch sense. He's talking about the earthquakes. They're all related. They're not talking to each other. They're not seeing necessarily how they're related. But go there. Dutch sense. Great channel. 463,000 subscribers. Tell them I sent you. Pay attention to what's going on, because that is the day of the Lord. We've got some time before that happens. The tribulation is the systems of the people, the reset going down. And then this is why they can't hide in the rocks, because of the day of the Lord. That's why. So my current bit rate is lower than normal. My stream is getting all screwed up. So I'm going to tell you I love you. I'm going to say good night. If I was going to bring in some people and some participants, but we've gone really way long tonight. So I'm going to tell you this. On the podcast, as we're going to schedule these things, you can come to that channel and listen, and we can call you, and you can call into that show. You can call in, or we can call you. And that means anybody. And I'd like to hear from, like Jeffrey Doherty and all the people that hate me. I'd like to talk to them now. I'd like to hear what they have to say about where we're at now. I don't have any ill feelings towards anybody. We are at times where you need to be able to put that away. This is not about ego. If you want to come and talk about ego and compare the size of things, that's not happening. Nobody wins that. So I'm going to tell you I love you very much. We have lots to come. There is so much. Please understand the hesitation of the time. There is no hesitation in us. We are working awfully hard. And this is not easy, but it's important that I stay away from the fray so I can be here and talk about things that are going to be really things to live by during those times, during these coming times. You can see how bad it's going to get. Try to keep that in your heart without it letting you create new fear in you. Try to keep it in your heart so you know it's close. You're aware of it. You never want to act outside of the awareness of where we're at, because then we're just thin and self-concerned. always, let's try to address ourselves. And let me just read you this last little scripture here before I go. This is Luke 10. And I'm reading to you from the International Version. This is Luke 10:30. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. That's you, by the way. All of us. We are attacked by robbers. Our lives and souls are being stolen. That's what this parable is about. They stripped him of his clothes, they beat him, and they went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to come down the same road, and when he saw the man, he just passed by the other side. So too, a Levite, a different kind of religion. Let's look at this as a Republican and a Democrat. And so too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by the other side as well. But a Samaritan, now understand, a Samaritan these days was already an outcast, happens to be 10:33. The Samaritan enters in 33, just letting you know. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring oil and wine. I don't think he was pouring wine on the wounds. He's pouring wine down the man's throat. Thankfully, it's good for that guy to ease that pain. Then he put the man on his own donkey, in his car, in his train. He moved him, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 denarii, real silver, and gave them to the innkeeper. And he said, look after him. And when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense that you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? And this is Christ asking the Pharisees, who were the lawmakers. And the expert replied, the expert in law, it says, 10:31, the expert in law, which was the Pharisee, replied, the one who had mercy on him. Do as they say, don't do as they do. Keep that in mind. He can say it. Does he do it? No. Who are the Pharisees? Everybody that runs any institution, any system, or encourages you to be a patriot even. Because being a patriot, a country is temporary. Anything that is temporary, stay away from. Eternity, eternal life, or eternal damnation. You have 2 addresses to choose from. So Jesus told him, after the Samaritan, go and do likewise. I say the same thing to you.